Hello everyone, and today's video is simply going to shock every chess fan in the world because recently Magnus Carlsen posted a statement against Hans Niemann suspecting that he's cheating. First, I'm going to read that statement, and second, we are going to check out uh, one of the one of the classical game recently that Magnus Carlsen played against Hans Niemann, which kind of proves that perhaps Hans is cheating. I'm not sure, but Magnus Carlsen is suspecting it. So first, let's read out the statement uh, posted by Magnus Carlsen on 27th of September, and yeah, on Twitter. So his statement said, Dear Chess World, at the 2022 Sinquefield Cup, I made the unprecedented professional decision to withdraw from the tournament after my round 3 game against Hans Niemann. A week later, during the Champions Chess 2, I resigned against Hans Niemann after playing only one move. So basically, it was an online tournament in which Magnus Carlsen simply resigned against Hans Niemann after playing just one move. And yeah, in the Sinquefield Cup, Hans Niemann beaten Magnus Carlsen, and after the round 3, uh, Magnus Carlsen decided to withdraw the tournament. So I know that my actions have frustrated many in the chess community. I am frustrated. I want to play chess. I want to continue play chess at the highest level in the best events. I believe that cheating in chess is a big deal and an existential threat to the game. I also believe that chess organizers and all those who care about the sensitivity of the game we love should seriously consider increasing security measures and methods of cheat detections for over the board chess. When Niemann was invited last minute to the 2022 Sinquefield Cup, I strongly considered withdrawing prior to the event I ultimately chose to play. I believe that Niemann has cheated more and more recently than he has publicly admitted. His over the board progress has been unusual, and throughout our game in the Sinquefield Cup, I had the impression that he wasn't tense or even fully concentrating on the game in critical positions. While outplaying me as black in a way, I think only a handful of players can do. This game contributed to changing my perspective. We must do something about cheating, and for my part going forward, I don't want to play against people that have cheated repeatedly in the past because I don't know what they are capable of doing in the future. There is more than I would like to say. Unfortunately, at this time, I am limited in what I can say without explicit permission from Niemann to speak openly. So far, I've only been able to speak with my actions, and those actions have stated clearly that I am not willing to play chess with Niemann. I hope that the truth on this matter comes out whenever it may. Definitely, Magnus Carlsen is saying that Hans Niemann have cheated, and he's actually cheated way many games because his actually performance, Niemann's performance, suddenly increased too much. I would say, like there is an online tournament of Champions Chess 2 in which he's playing. He simply Magnus Carlsen simply resigned that game after playing one move, and in the Sinquefield Cup 2022, Hans Niemann simply crushed Magnus Carlsen just actually fully. Actually, we are going to discuss that game, and and actually, after beating Magnus Carlsen, there was a video where Hans Niemann was saying that there were allegations on Niemann, and Niemann was trying to protect himself uh, by by replying them. Like there is a complete video on Grand Chess 2. You can just go and check it out. So I think after this statement, if Niemann's if Niemann is not guilty, then he have to reply it back. Currently, he have gave no reply to this Magnus Carlsen statement. So let's see what will happen. But perhaps Niemann have cheated, but we are not sure. So let's come to the game. Magnus Carlsen is playing with white pieces, and Hans Niemann is playing with black pieces, and it's the round 3 of the Sinquefield Cup. So let's discuss the game, and we are going to check out how Niemann actually played the game. And actually, okay, I'm going to tell you afterwards. So basically, Magnus Carlsen with the white pieces starts out the game with 1d4. And after playing d4, Niemann replied with knight to f6. we have c4, e6. We basically have the Nimzo-Indian. And after Nimzo-Indian, bishop b4, Magnus Carlsen played g3. Short castle, bishop g2. We all know that Magnus Carlsen usually plays the Catalan usually with the white setup, so we can say that yeah, it's very common. After d5, Magnus played a3, and a3 I don't think is the best move in the top layer. Usually in the top level, the game continues with a knight to f3 and simply short castle. But we know that Magnus Carlsen is recently playing anything he likes to play, so definitely a3 can be a fine move. That like it's not a big deal. B takes, pawn takes, and we have d into c4. So definitely black is pawn up. Magnus played knight to f3 and c5 by black, and yeah, absolutely fine move because black is simply going for the center. That's a double c pawns. So black want to get rid of it. Like you can't simply take because of simply queen into d1. You lose the castling rights. You are having too many weaknesses on the pawn chain. I think this is a good move. Everything is attacking. So yeah, definitely capturing the pawn doesn't make any sense. So short castle by white, and here we have simply c into d4, the most natural move. Queen into d4. Like you can't really capture the d4 pawn with the c pawn because I think b5 can be a move. The b5 cannot be a move because of knight g5 simply hitting the rook. But I think like another pawn can be protected, like perhaps bishop d7, and the pawn is protected. Like I don't know about simply queen c7, or even I think b5 can be a move to protect the c4 pawn. So Magnus went for queen into d4, and now knight to c6 by Niemann. Not going for queen trade, because if you go for queen trade, definitely after I think like simply knight into d4, and white is having too much pressure on the diagonal. You can't move the bishop because the b7 is hanging, and white should be fine, but not the best for black. That's the reason knight to c6 simply developing the piece and also hitting the queen. Queen into c4, definitely you do not want to trade the queens because it simply allows your opponent to develop their pieces. So Magnus simply went for capturing the pawn, regaining the pawn, but in the exchange, white is having the bad pawn structure, but in the exchange, white is having a lead in development. So this is the imbalance of the game. And Niemann find a very good move, e5. I think perhaps that kind of forced move because you want to develop your bishop from c8, but you can't play b6 because the knight is hanging. So that's the only way to develop the bishop, by playing e5, and you are simply threatening bishop to e6. So bishop to g5 by white, h6, and now rook to d1. And after rook g1, white is hitting the queen, and you can't really capture the bishop because your queen is hanging. So the most natural move in this position looks like to move the queen, and like after takes, it looks like white simply got this free move because like after h6, if white would have taken, after rook g1, it's black to move. But after rook g1 here, after rook g1, queen e7, takes, white have already executed the move rook g1, and it's still white to play. But actually after rook g1, Hans simply found an amazing move in this position, which is bishop to e6. Re-attacking the queen, and also queen, and like after bishop e6, we have rook into d8. For example, if white tries to move the queen from the c4 square, like let's take any move, like queen b5, trying to hit this pawn, we are having queen f5, forcing a queen trade somehow, and you can't simply capture the b7 because I have to rook f8, and like the rook is coming in, the queen is being trapped, so it's already too risky for white. So you really have to trade the queens, and it's perfectly fine position for black. So that's the reason Magnus simply tried to went in the endgame by simply capturing the queen. Bishop takes, rook takes, bishop takes, pawn takes. So what's happening in this position? Black is having 6 pawns, white is having 6 pawns, and yeah, it looks like an equal position. Black is having a bad pawn structure on the king side, but no pawn is hanging really. But I think c3 pawn is much softer than the pawns compared to the king side because it can be a real target, I believe. So after g into f6, we have king to f1 by Magnus because the e2 pawn was simply hanging. You do not want to play e3 because it simply blocks your king to go on f1. So that's the reason Magnus tried to win with the king by playing king f1 and king e1. So rook to d8, king e1, trying to take away the square of d2 from the rook. Knight a5, rook to d1, asking a rook trade, and Niemann simply declining the rook trade. Knight to d2. I think this move looks like common, like very natural move, but nothing is happening because knight is simply protecting the pawn. The rook over on d7 is completely useless. I think bishop e6 and black wins the pawn. It doesn't make any sense. That's the reason knight to d2 was played, trying to go for the bishop. Opening up the bishop definitely makes a lot of sense. Bishop goes back and c4 by Magnus. Actually, after c4, it simply gives up the pawn to Hans. Like, if you try to protect this pawn, like for example, let's take rook c1, trying to protect this pawn. Now we are having b6. We still can't push because black can still capture the pawn. And in this position, black is the one who is actually putting it at real high pressure on the white. And we all know that Magnus actually any player do not want to play so passively. That's the reason Magnus went for sacrificing the pawn on c4. So bishop into c4, knight into c4, and rook into c4. You can't really capture the knight because you simply lose the b7 pawn in the return. That's the reason bishop c4, knight c4, rook c4. And now what is happening in this game is we have bishop versus knight and rook. Black is having 6 pawns, white is having 5 pawns. Definitely black is having an advantage, but let's see. We have rook d8 check, king to g7. Magnus Carlsen is actually known for his good, amazing endgame skills. So let's see, is it going to work? Bishop to d5, rook c7, trying to simply now becoming passive because rook to d7 can be a very big threat. So covering the 7th rank, and now rook to a8. a6, rook to b8. f5, because the rook and the knight are simply paralyzed because the b7 is simply targeted, so you have to move the pawn from the king side. Rook to e8, e4 by Magnus, e4 by Niemann, and now here we have simply g4 by white by Magnus Carlsen, trying to the plan is like if black tries to take, we have rook into e4, and I think now it's more like a draw position. So definitely a very nice move played by Magnus. But now rook to c5, again a very nice move, simply hitting the bishop move, and now knight to c4. Like, it looks so natural to capture the pawn or perhaps even bringing the king, but he's simply keeping the position like this. Knight c4, and here we have 4. The one move looks like to take, and can white simply capture the pawn? It looks a fine move. Yeah, and it is, but like after b5, the rook is coming to a4 to capture the pawn, and that's the reason. Like after capturing the a3 pawn, black would be having 2 passed pawns on the queen side. Like according to the engine, it's saying like perhaps it's fine. Still, rook b8 is fine. Like after this, we have rook b6 takes, and it's still black is having the advantage, but not such a large advantage. But I think practically these 2 passed pawns are simply crushing position for white. That's the reason a4 trying to keep up the pawn, and here we have knight to d6 hitting the rook. Rook to e7, and now pawn takes pawn because the pawn is protected, the pawn is hanging, and the knight is also protecting everything. So basically the knight is the sole defender of the game. Rook to d7 trying to hit the knight, and now comes the e3, excellent move up by Niemann, I would say. Like, idea is to play some rook c1 and simply checkmate. Like you can't really capture the knight because of check, and all those who are thinking rook g1, what's happening? But bro, e into f2 check, you have to move the king, and like after take, you lose the rook. And all those smart guys who think king e2, bro, I'll simply make a queen and still winning. Or even I can simply capture the rook and still make a queen, it's still win. So yeah, that's the reason you can't really capture the knight after e3. So that's the reason Magnus was forced to capture the pawn on e3, and now white is having double pawns on the e5. Here we have knight to e4 by white and knight to e4 by black, and the d2 square and the f2 square are simply covered by the knight, and still again threatening rook to c1, a very deadly threat. King to f1, trying to run away on the king side, trying to simply put some pressure on the pawns on the king side. Rook c1, checking g2, rook to c2, hitting the bishop and the pawn. Bishop into pawn. Like, what a defense by Niemann. Like, he was ready to give up the pawn on f7. Rook into e to check, king move, rook check, check. And now, after repeating the position twice, now he played king to f6. Bishop to d5, and now rook to d2. Simply pinning up the bishop. And now you can't really capture the pawn on b7 because you either lose the bishop or you either lose the rook. It's a choice. So now rook to f7, checked by Magnus. Fine move. King g6, and now rook to d7. And after rook g7, it was simply a blunder. Definitely, we can. This is actually the first blunder in the game after move number 42. Definitely, we can expect a blunder by the world champion after playing 42 straight moves. So, like, the best move in this position is to play rook to d7, rook to e7 according to the engine, simply re-attacking the knight. And the plan is, like, after rook into bishop, rook into knight, perhaps it's still fine to play the position, but I think after king g5, definitely black is having such a strong advantage, I believe. But like the engine says that it's still playable, though black's having the perfect edge. So rook d7, and now simply came knight to g5. So basically, the rooks are going to be traded now, I think, because you can't do anything. Bishop check, because you can't really push the pawn. All those smart guys were thinking that pawn pushes the right fine move, protecting the bishop. Bro, after thinking knight f3, it's saying knight f3 is check is fine. Yeah, knight f3 check. All those who are thinking knight into pawn, it's not working because of bishop into e4 check, and you lose and black loses the rook. But now comes knight to f3 check, and you can't go king h1 because of checkmate in 1. You have to play king f1, and now knight into h2 check, and this pawn is simply strong pawn, which is winning. That is the reason you can't play e4, so we have bishop f7 check forcefully by Magnus Carlsen. And here we have king to f5 by Niemann. You can't capture the bishop because you lose the rook, and now white is the one who is winning. So move. King was moved, rook into rook. So it's such a crazy idea that, like, he calculated everything, that he's going to give a check, he's going to give up the rook, and now he's going to give a check and going to recapture the rook on d2. King move, knight into d2, pawn push, and like what's happening in this position is black is having 4 pawns, white is having 3 pawns, knight was a bishop. I think it's good position. You can't capture because of, let's check, knight h2 is winning. It's like the knight is running away. So yeah, we have king f2 takes. Like after a couple of moves, Niemann was very comfortable, and on the move number 57, after playing bishop g5, okay, after bishop g5, I think king e5 was played, and like after king e5, on the move number 57, Magnus decides to resign the game because definitely black is having 2 pawns on the king side, last pawns connected, and like the bishop no longer controlled every square of the knight. So basically, you have to move the bishop, and knight will escape, and soon white is going to lose the game. So this was the whole game of the Sinquefield Cup, and actually after the game, the accuracy of both the players was like Hans Niemann actually played with the accuracy of 97, whereas Magnus Carlsen, the world champion, played with the accuracy of 91. So a very tough fight, but definitely Niemann actually played every right move in the game, every right move to beat the world champion. I think this might be one of the reasons that Magnus Carlsen is suspecting Niemann. And actually, in the tweet, he also tweeted that. So what Magnus Carlsen tweeted, there was a statement when he said that I had the impression that he wasn't tense or even fully concentrating in the game in critical positions while outplaying me as black in a way I think only a handful of players can do. This game contributed to changing my perspective. But like I said, like this game definitely shocked Magnus Carlsen, because actually, like, Niemann actually simply beat Magnus Carlsen effortlessly. I believe that, as Magnus Carlsen said, that he wasn't concentrating, and like without concentrating, you are beating a world champion. It's like only a handful of players. I don't think even a handful of players can do it. I don't think any player except Hans Niemann can do. So definitely perhaps Hans Niemann is cheating. Tell me in the comment box below that whom are you supporting? Are you with Magnus Carlsen that yes, Hans Niemann is cheating, or are you with Hans Niemann that no, Hans Niemann is not cheating, Magnus Carlsen is wrong? So tell me in the comment box below. And definitely, if you like this analysis of the game, then make sure to like the video. If you, so yeah, I'm going to come up with these interesting videos like this. So stay tuned for that. So I'm going to see you soon. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching One Shot Chess.